Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of TEDXcellence, the series that purportedly keeps my sanity while I'm locked up in my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox and a Pepper Jack. And today, a special guest. In fact, the person who brought this to my attention, Blind Press.
Hello.
Hello, Blind Press.
How is it in your Corona bunker?
Oh, it's the four walls are closing in every day, a little bit more. For those who may not know who you are or what you do, tell them who you are and what you do.
So I am another YouTube person who does streams about, I basically do streams about what piques my interest. And I call out bullshit when I see it. And boy, did I bring some bullshit for Scribe to watch.
Yes, this is the first time I've done one that was recommended to me. Well, no, I guess it's maybe not the first one, but close to. I had a situation where somebody recommended something to me that I was already getting ready to do. But other than that, this is the first time it's like I didn't even know to look for this one or to find this one. So I have not watched it. Blind Press has, so she has a one-up on me. So I'll be looking at this fresh. And Blind's info is in the description, a link to her channel and to her Twitter, and you can see her Twitter there on the screen. Amongst other things, she plays Mortal Kombat.
I do.
A lot of Mortal Kombat. And, of course, the most amazing thing being, as her name implies, she can't see. So just knowing that as you watch is kind of incredible. And I still am, I don't know, bamboozled by it. Maybe not bamboozled. Bewildered, maybe. It's a better way of putting it. Just I can't. It's hard for me to imagine. But either way. And hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us, by the way. And in that spirit, Jaeger Pony, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. Asian Hippie, hello. This is Kyle, hello. Humble Clay, hello. The Luke Skywalker, too, hello. I'm going too fast for myself. Joe Vasquez, hello. Raziel, hello. John Smith, hello. Ryan Rollins, hello. Mad Ann Flint, hello. Midday Sin, hello. Jesse Green, 619, hello. John Miller, hello. Jim Beam, hello. Death Glock, hello. Mike R, hello. Elish Norn, hello. Dark Alile, hello. Eric Grunstadter, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. Subpar Genitalia, hello. Twisted Skipster, hello. Zombie Teddy, hello. Ranting Monkey, hello. Daryl Parnass, hello. Necrosol Collins, hello. Mike Savage, Blarg. Swan 732, hello. Jesse, Duck Dog, hello. Dr. Plague, hello. Prospero, hello. Tarkata, hello. Lexi Mads, hello. Pear D Bear, hello. Death Bloke 76, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Maniac Nick 2030, hello. The Memes of Destruction, hello. Okay. Gulf City Cult of Krill, hello. Okay. All right. I'll pause there. All right. So, guys, per usual, I'm going to play the first couple seconds of this. Let me know that you can hear the sound okay. I think I have everything set up, but I do this as tradition now just for the heck of it. Your boy Pat, hello. Hey, Wara Valdo, hello. All right. Here we go. Oh, wait, sorry. I should tell you what it's about first. I forgot to do that. I'm off my game because I have a guest. So the official title of today's presentation is Stop Trying to Fix Disability, which I'm wondering, I've written up another satire TEDx talk.
Oh,
and
God.
I'm curious because the sentiment in that title, I wonder if it's at all aligned with the fake TEDx talk I've started writing up, but we'll see. So anyway, guys, here we go. Let me know if you hear this.
Hello.
Yep, it works.
My name is Molly Burke.
All right, so my name is Molly Burks. Chat, you can tell me if you hear that. Ms. Slim 1, hello. Take my first dose of Pepper Jack because I probably need it. Sounds good, says John Smith. Sounds good, says Asian Hippie. All right. So Molly Burke. Let us listen to the wit and wisdom of Molly Burke.
And I am a square peg in a round hole.
Well, now, that's not suggestive.
No kidding, right?
Tell me about your square hole. Wait, what?
Fitting in, belonging, has never really been my thing.
So you're antisocial? Hey, me too.
But that certainly hasn't been by choice. And I'm sure you're wondering what somebody who's never belonged can contribute to a conversation about belonging.
I'm certainly curious, given that jacket you're wearing.
Wait. What does it look like?
So it's this, I mean, it looks like it's this thick, like knitted wool, black and white jacket with a whole bunch of sparklies on it.
Oh boy.
I mean, she looks like sort of like a dim disco ball.
Yeah, that's about her personality too.
Yeah.
But hopefully a lot.
Uh-huh.
I live in a world that's not made for me.
In a world.
The world is made for the average.
Oh.
The majority.
Oh, so you're above average or below average?
Below average?
I mean, if you want to be self-deprecating, that's fine. I do that all the time.
And that's not who I am.
Oh, you're not average.
Looking at me, you might think I am your basic pumpkin spice loving 20-something with a broken ankle, but...
Yeah, you do look like a basic bitch. Oh, wait.
There is a lot more to me than meets the eye.
Oh, you're a transformer? Oh, boy, you turned into a helicopter?
Oh, you know what? That would make her cool. I'd be okay with that.
Unless it was like a helicopter made of like bone and flesh and stuff, then it'd be a little bit too David Cronenberg for me.
Yeah.
In fact, I is the very problem. I should mention something, because due to media-perpetuated stereotypes and misconceptions, you probably haven't been able to tell just by looking at me.
Oh.
Yeah, she went there.
She has herpes. Oh, is that not it? Oh, okay. Okay.
But I am blind.
Dun, dun, dun!
Oh God! Now everyone in the audience is gonna go blind.
But you're supposed to be wearing like sunglasses and have like a red and white stick in your hand and a seeing eye iguana at your side or something, right?
She's supposed to be rocking back and forth and like poking her eyes and.
Oh, is that the stereotype?
Well, there's a thing. There are a lot of blind people who go to blind schools.
Mm-hmm.
They do what's called stimming, which is it's also kind of you see it in autism. Mm-hmm. But blind schools tend not to discourage that behavior because they figure, well, everyone's doing it, except when you get out into the real world. You kind of look funny.
Yeah.
So those of us who went to public school tend not to do the rocking. I will do a lot of pacing, though, when I talk on the phone or something. That's what I do. But yeah, there are some behaviors that some blind people do if they haven't been taught not to do them.
Well, now that we know her big secret... her fashion sense is explained.
Yes.
And that's exactly why there's a sleeping lump of fur on the stage with me.
Oh.
His name is Gallop, like a horse running. And
really?
He is my very hardworking guide.
She's also got like this brace on her leg, like she broke her leg recently or something. So I wonder if she stepped on a Lego.
I love how she has to make sure that we know what gallop means.
Oh, I didn't even notice. You're right.
She's a gallop, like a horse running.
Dog. When I was 6 months old, I started going to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. And when I was 4 years old, I was finally diagnosed with a rare genetic eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. RP is a degenerative retinal disease that causes the progressive loss of vision.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I was born legally blind, but I wouldn't lose the majority of my vision until I was 14.
Oh, that's gotta suck.
It did. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'll give her this. Okay.
Yeah.
Losing your sight when you're like a teenager or an adult is like terrifying.
Sure.
Even if you are given preventative or like training beforehand, if they know it's going to happen, they'll give you training in school. And she's going to talk about this in a second, that she received that training. But even if you're like given that, it's still really hard.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I consider myself really lucky to have gone blind the way I did.
Yeah, so you never had to know the difference or
Yeah.
have to adjust. Yeah. Now, when I had the stroke in my eye and I went completely like goofy there for so long. I mean, even though my sister, who had an aneurysm when she was young and lost sight in one eye completely,
Ooh.
and she's functioned perfectly well
Yeah.
in the years since. But even then, even knowing that I was, and it was my sister that took me to the hospital, whole 9 yards, I thought the one thing that gave me some comfort as that was going on, because I didn't know what the outcome would be at that time,
Right.
is that, well, if my sister can do it, I sure as hell can, because she's stupid. No. I don't mean
sibling
that.
love.
I don't mean that. Well, maybe a little, but no, it's fine. No, but yeah, no, I was very fortunate that I got the treatment I did when I did, because for all intents and purposes, I regained full sight in my eye. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if nothing else, it definitely is a big cold bucket of water that says, take nothing for granted. You never know. You just wake up one day and everything goes sideways on you. But anyway, moving on.
Although I grew up with a lot of sight, and most of my vision loss didn't happen until grade 8, it wasn't long after my diagnosis that I started to realize I was different, and that I was going to have to grow up in a world that wasn't meant for me.
Okay, that's an interesting conclusion.
Yeah, a 6-year-old came to that conclusion, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I was only in grade 1 when I went home from school and asked my parents, what's wrong with me?
Well, you have this degenerative disorder. The end.
See, and this is what bothers me, because I grew up in a family where by the time I could speak, I knew that I couldn't see, right? And that was that. It wasn't a big thing. It was, yeah, you can't see. This is how you are going to live life, and these are the things that will help you do that. Moving on. Why did her parents wait so long?
Oh, yeah, I mean, admittedly, being in first grade, you're still really young, but they knew about this when she was
6 months old.
6 months old.
4.
Yeah.
Like
So
yeah,
you would have thought that they would have explained it to. I mean, even in the most like child level terms or something that you can't get down to nitty gritty technical stuff.
No.
But okay. Well, I mean, unless it's literally true, they did not tell her anything about it. If they withheld that information from her, which would have been cruel as hell.
Exactly. And I think a lot of these things that she's going to bring up in this video are parental mistakes that she is lumping into societal issues.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to know why I had a special teacher that sat next to me in class, and why I read off the whiteboard she wrote on instead of the chalkboard at the front of the class like everybody else.
So you can see it?
I guess my question would be then, it's like, could you read the blackboard from where you sat? If you couldn't, then maybe, I mean, some of these things kind of explain themselves, but again, if her parents were being completely keeping her in the dark, no pun intended, but I'll take it. Then yeah, she's a victim of bad parenting at that point.
Yeah.
I wanted to know why I was allowed to write with black markers when every other student was told they weren't allowed to use markers and had to use pencils.
Well, white privilege.
So wait, that made you upset? You got to do something cool that the other kids didn't get to do, and that was a problem for you?
Black markers? Boy, those are such a luxury, I guess.
I don't...
They all wrote on white paper, and I wrote on cream-colored paper with thick black lines.
Uh-huh.
Why does she sound like she's going to cry about that?
I mean, again, if we take it on the theory that the parents were completely obscuring from her the truth of her situation, but you also have to imagine that she had absolutely no curiosity prior to this moment or something, unless it was like, okay, I'm trying to be sort of generous here and say, okay, let's say, just for the sake of argument, because I don't know, that this stuff about having the special teacher sitting next to her and all the special paper and everything else was started in first grade within the first 2 weeks or something, right?
Usually is.
Okay, and prior to that, nothing special had been done. She hadn't been told anything. Nothing out of the ordinary was done. Okay, so if she's confused as to why this is happening early on in first grade, and she goes to her parents and say, why is all this happening? That I could buy. I could buy.
Yeah.
Okay. So so far, all right. Okay. But it was the part where a world not made for me. Like, well, okay.
Most importantly, I wanted to know why all the other kids in the class got to go to the African lion safari on a field trip, while I went to a picnic with the deaf and blind students in the school board and all of their special teachers.
Now this right here is a parenting fail.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a parenting fail.
Yeah,
right
if they're
there.
withholding information from her, then that's on them. That's not.
No, what I'm talking about is the exclusion.
I
went so this is where I'm gonna give a bit more information, without no doxing information or anything. Sure. But I grew up. I'm 4 years older than she is.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up in the same area in Canada. We actually have done advocacy work when we were kids together with the CNIB. I've actually met her. What should have happened here with the field trip when the forms went out was the parents should have. There would have been, when I was in grade 1 4 years earlier, there was no even discussion about is blind press not going to go to the field trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the only blind students in that school board at the time. There were very few in public school in the early 90s. It was much more practice to send them to the blind school.
Right.
But 4 years later, Molly's parents allowed her to be shipped off with the other deaf and blind kids.
Right.
They didn't say to the teachers, no, Molly will be attending. Her itinerant teacher, which is what that special teacher is called, her itinerant teacher will be attending with her, and Molly will get to go and see everything else. Well, that's a parenting fail.
Well, I mean, but to be devil's advocate partially, and again, being generous, because I don't know, is it possible that the parents were acting out of, let's say, over concern, but on the advice of doctors or specialists, in saying that she needed to associate with people who were likewise disabled? Yeah,
maybe. A lot of itinerant teachers who work in the public school system with blind people. Mm-hmm. Even people who are who are still sighted but will lose their sight, really stress socialization with sighted children as well. Mm-hmm. And they stress inclusion as much as possible because the blind population is so small and isolated that it is good to find other blind people so that you can learn from them.
Right.
But to isolate a child from their peers in an educational situation like that, mm-hmm. would not be recommended by any vision teacher worth their salt.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what goes on.
It was then that I first heard the words retinitis pigmentosa.
Whoa, they waited 2 years? They got the diagnosis at 4. They waited till she was in grade 1 to tell her.
Yeah, well, I guess, okay, like as I said, granted that we're taking her at her word, yeah, her parents withheld this vitally important information from her until she was in first grade. So, okay, and again, I'm not a psychologist, but I do on a couch. That seems reflective to me of overprotective parents.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep that notion in mind as she goes through any more of her childhood experiences. Just
yeah, she
Take me a
still
lot
lives with her mom.
still lives with her mom. Yeah, okay. And primary caretaker, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
longer before I learned how to pronounce it, and even longer to learn how to spell it. It was around that same time that I started learning how to read and write in Braille, while the other students took French as their second language credit. I started taking O&M, or Orientation and Mobility, where I learned how to physically navigate a world that I don't belong in.
Oh,
Okay.
stop.
Okay, wait. Okay, now that's the part that's really, and obviously, that's really getting to me. A world I don't belong in, like you're some kind of leper.
Yeah.
Or something, or like you're an alien or whatever. Now that is everything else to this point where her parents made some sketchy decisions about how to approach her with the issue or explain the issue to her. Okay, that's on the parents, certainly.
Yeah.
But at this point, this is self-victimization.
Yes.
Like I'm some kind of alien being, and I'm at the mercy of the seeing world or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's really disgusting to me. It drives me crazy.
not made for me. All right.
And although learning to hit people in the ankles with a white cane till they got out of my way was a very useful skill, it's
Nobody
not
taught
very
you
good.
that. That is okay. The way she puts that is that the way that is worded is that she was taught to hit people in the ankles until they get out of the way. That is not something orientation mobility instructors teach you to do.
She could have been joking.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt in this that it was just a joke.
I'm not gonna lie. I've done it, but I've done it after going, excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Whack.
It's not very good for fitting in, and certainly not great for making friends.
Yeah, but you're not making friends while you're walking down a hallway, conceivably. You're just...
No.
I know. And I'm playing off of the
And
same thing that it's a joke, but at the same time, it's like, okay, it's not a very well-constructed joke. So.
No, it's not.
As I was learning these adaptive skills, they were trying everything they could think of to improve my vision. Yellow tinted glasses to help with light sensitivity and color contrast. Okay. Glasses for distance, thick Coke bottle glasses to help magnify. Test after test, surgery after surgery, they tried everything they could to help me.
Now tell me why that is somehow bad.
Oh, she will.
Because, I mean, heaven forfend, somebody try to help alleviate the symptoms of a degenerative disease.
Yeah.
I mean, even if there's just the tiniest possibility in a million that it'll help retain anything that you can use to move through the world or effectively navigate, etc., it's worth it. Like when I went in and got the day that my eyeball exploded, that's how I.
Oh Jesus!
Well, I mean, I didn't have any other way to put it because.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I'm sitting there, I'm playing a video game. I'm playing Grim Dawn actually on the computer, and all of a sudden, all the colors on the screen become like so oversaturated and pronounced and crazy, and then everything starts fading out and getting cloudy in one side of my vision. And I'm like,
ooh.
What? I mean, it was like, and I've never done acid, but I imagine it was like, what would happen if I had done acid or something?
That has to be terrifying.
I had no idea. I was like, what? Because at first I thought I was having, when I was very young, like 12 or 13 or something, I would have these things that a doctor called painless migraines, where all my vision would go all crazy and I'd feel completely weak and I feel like I have to fall down. And it was almost like having a seizure or something. I haven't had one in decades now, thankfully. So whatever it was a phase. But I thought it was one of those, but then it was different. Anyway, when I went to the doctor that day, and I'm sitting in the emergency room with my sister, and I'm freaking out. And the doctor comes in and he says, well, what's happened? I said, well, my eye just went completely, nuts or whatever. And he did the regular tests. He did the scan on the eye and everything. He says, well, you've had a vessel burst in your eye. This is going to cause a occlusion of your vision. And I mean, it's good that you showed up when you did. Usually we don't see or treat these things until a day or two afterwards. But we also don't see these things in anybody under about 70. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad I'm advanced for my age. And He said, now, so I've never, he said, and this was like, I lucked out. This was a Sunday morning. And the guy there just happened to be coming into the hospital because of some other work or something that I ended up with like the top eye specialist in the state.
Nice.
I just lucked. It was dumb luck.
Yeah.
And he said, I have never treated someone for this as early on in the process as you. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
I can't promise you anything. And I was like, and he said, and I said, well, what do we have to do? And he says, well, I'm going to have to take this anti-inflammatory and I'm going to have to inject it into the area of the rupture. And I said, so you're going to put a needle in my eye? And he's like, yep.
Yes.
And I'm like, let's do it. I mean, when I think about every horror movie that's ever done eye torture or something, I'm just like, oh God. But anyway, I was like, I don't care what it is, if there's even the slightest chance. But at the same time, I'm sitting in the room with someone, my sister, who has lived with this same situation her entire adult life.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking to myself, worse comes to worse, I'm just like my sister, except I'm smarter. Okay, anyway, so I mean, but it was horrifying, just the notion. And so I sit down into this chair upstairs and the other floor, and he locks my head into this thing, and I'm looking forward. He puts the drops in my eyes to relax my muscles and everything. And I just have to sort of, he says, look up to the side, but at my periphery, what little I have in my good eye, I see that needle coming forward, like, oh my God, this is like something out of Dead Space 2. Anyway, I won't go any more into details about it, but it was horrifying. And for the next like month and a half, 2 months, I had this permanent spider web like after image over all things in front of that eye. And I was just like, well, if this is my new normal. And I started calling it my starry-eyed surprise after that song, because it looks like a big like spider web starburst right in front of my vision.
That's awesome.
But over time, and with a couple more treatments like that, unfortunately, more injections in the eye, it has reduced to the point where unless I really think about it or really focus on it, I can't even see it anymore. And so if there was even the outside possibility at that time in the first shot that it was going to do anything to save my vision, I was all for it. And and in her case, like she said, she didn't really lose her sight till 14, so she knew how to see the world and see it gradually disappear. It sounds like she's, I don't know, vindictive for the attempts made to try to alleviate the disability.
That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like she's mad either that it didn't work or that she has decided that disability means bad or something. I don't.
Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. She doesn't belong, yet they're helping her? Huh. Yeah, exactly. How is it that a world not made for her is trying so hard at this stage of the game to help her?
I would also like to point out that in a world not made for her, her father started the very first completely audio descriptive television station in Canada.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the world's not made for blind people at all. We don't belong.
Right. Okay, let's see where this goes.
And nothing worked.
Uh-huh.
They tried everything they could because society is told to view disability as something we need to fix.
You had a degenerative disease. Let's think about the term or the concept of disease for a second, okay? It's something that is happening to your body, and science, it's not permanent yet. That's the thing. It's something that is uh-oh. We have a small one. Okay. Heaven forfend that medicine attempt to address a disease. And here's the other thing, too. I don't know if she'll bring this up, because like I said, I haven't watched this, but heaven forfend that their attempts to address her situation give them new information that could conceivably help others in the future with this same disease. Yeah. Like, if they attempt this, and this, and they find that these don't work, or there's some benefit to these things. That you, even though you're going to be bound for blindness, that those efforts on your behalf could help others in the future. Heaven forfend, right?
Like, with her logic there, should the doctors have just let me die of cytomegalovirus in the hospital?
Well, if somebody comes in with a broken bone, it's like, well, we'll just let it set wrong because, we don't want to like mess with God's plan.
No.
Or something, right? Like, who cares about a cast or something? You can have a crooked arm for the rest of your life. It's fine.
Mommy.
Oh, God. My small one keeps escaping from Pinkalo. Why are you wearing goggles on the top of your head?
How do you keep doing that? Let mommy talk.
Thank you. This is Kyle. I'm just going to make a guess. She's going to complain that they tried to fix her to fit reality rather than fixing reality to fit her new lifestyle.
Yes.
Well, don't spoil it for me. I haven't seen it yet. All right, let's continue.
The medical model of disability tells us that the disabled person is the problem.
No, it
What
doesn't.
the
No,
fuck, lady?
Okay, I'm not even a medical professional. I know that is bullshit. That is bullshit. The disease is the problem. The disability is the disability. The disabled person is the problem. Come on.
So, the people with type 1 diabetes are the problem, not the fact that their pancreas has died?
Yeah. I mean, so the person with Alzheimer's is the problem. That's why they're trying to cure the people, not the disease. Like, what are you talking about?
And we need to do anything we can to fix them, to change them, to cure them, to heal them, to make them normal, to make them fully functioning and fully able.
Oh, yeah, what a horrible notion.
Those bastards.
What a horrible notion.
Let's go back to the way it was 100 years ago, where you had, blind people begging on street corners and selling pencils to people, and leprosy people being ostracized, and let's go back to that.
Or someone who what was that guy who lost both his arms in an electrocution accident or something, right? And then they go all over the place to make basically bionic arms for the guy so that he could actually put on his own clothes and pick up his own glass to drink from, and so on and so on. Yeah, heaven forfend. We try to allow someone their own independence separate from needing people all the time to care for them as much as possible. God forbid. Thank you, Pinkalo. 2 pencils, please. I don't know what that means, but...
So there's a story. I was about 3 or 4 years old, and a lady saw me, and I think I was just starting to learn how to use my cane.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, "Oh, you're blind? Oh, you poor thing. Here, have a quarter, honey."
Oh.
And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't bring any pencils to sell you today." She was very angry.
Thank you, another monotream. To expose her bull, ask if she'd like to see. That would be an interesting question. All right, here we go.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that means.
I think that mindset is the problem.
Okay.
I live with a rare disease for which there is no known cure.
If there was, would you accept it? I mean, it's not like you're a mutant out of Marvel Comics, where the thing about you is a makeup of your normal progression.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in Marvel Comics, the mutants, generally speaking, their powers emerge around their teens, and it's just a part of who they are. It's a part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Whereas she had a disease. Now, it might be a genetic disease. And you can say, oh, she was born with it. She was going to, it's part of her thing. And if she doesn't want to get any help for it, if she wants to live like that of her own choice, fine. That's fine. But if this is something that can be addressed because it is actually something that puts you at a disadvantage, and it could be addressed, why wouldn't you seek that? Why would you want to live as... And don't get me wrong, I understand there are people out there that have this idea that to try to cure deafness, to try to cure blindness, is
Oh,
to
that's what
admit.
Pinkala was just about to say. He's like, it's like the
Yeah.
deaf people with the shunning the other deaf people who get the cochlear implant.
Right. Yeah, I saw there was an episode of Law and Order that was actually whenever I think about that argument, I always think about this episode of Law and Order where a a deaf girl was murdered, partially out of jealousy or hatred
remember that one.
because she went and got a cochlear implant and she wasn't going to be deaf anymore.
And she was with a hearing, like she fell in love with
Right.
a hearing man.
Yeah, and the deaf man got all jealous and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
I remember that episode.
Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. I think her mindset is the problem. Goddamn. Her mindset might be the problem. But again, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, if you feel as though your situation is a part of your identity, or it's not something that you would want to get fixed, yada, okay, that's fine. But to then project that notion onto everybody else as though anyone with a counter idea is somehow victimizing you or othering you or alienating you or something, that's you doing that. That's not society. And if her parents completely skewed her perspective, again, no pun taken, but I'll take it, because of their actions and their decisions, well, then she might be more a victim of parental neglect in some fashion than anything else. But she's a grown adult now, and if this is her opinion, I take exception.
Yeah.
All right.
On top of that, a very rare gene has caused my rare genetic blindness.
So.
And if that gene could be therapied out and your sight could be restored in some fashion, would you not? Would you? This is a question I would ask her. If someone with your exact same situation came up to you and said, I have an opportunity to have gene therapy, let's say. Mm-hmm. Okay, they've identified this as a genetic thing, and okay, the gene therapy, and there is a 5% chance that this gene therapy will restore some percentage of my sight. It's not guaranteed. Would our speaker prevent that person from taking that opportunity?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, now, if her own choices are for herself, but would you say someone in their exact same position, would you deny them that possibility based on your ideology about the situation? That's a question I'd ask her.
I'm that lucky.
Wait, okay. So she spent 5 minutes saying how the world is not made for blind people or for disabled people.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's going to say that she's lucky to be disabled? I'm confused. What's her stance on disability? Is it a bad thing that so I don't understand where her I don't get it. Is she happy to be disabled? Does she cuz I'm like I said, I'm not depressed about being blind, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm not militantly proud about it, I'm just, that's how I am. That's how I'm trying to figure out where she stands here.
Thank you. Another monitoring. Have a friend with the same condition. He'd take sight.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna again inject a little bit of myself onto this. So again, we'll see what she says after this, but trying to be devil's advocate. Prior to my starting to take medication for my anxiety, okay,
yeah.
I was afraid that medication was going to dumb me down or numb me to emotions, etc. So for most of my 20s and into my 30s, I just dealt with it. And as an artifact of everyday being able to go to work, being able to maintain relationships and do things and everything else, in spite of the uncontrollable madness going on inside of me.
Yeah.
The fact that I was able to remain productive in spite of it did become sort of a point of pride in me. I haven't let this defeat me. I fight it every day and I still go forward. And that, after a fashion, became part of my personal, if you want to call it, identity, is that I am managing and controlling this problem, even though it would overwhelm, let's say, lesser mortals or something, whatever you want to call it. And so if that's how she's seeing it, like, to take this away from me would be to say that I need help or something. If she's seeing overcoming this as a point of pride and independence in spite of it and everything else, and that to remove it would remove some notion of who she is or what the world is. And this is what happened when I started taking the medication.
Yeah.
I started going to a therapist, and I said to the therapist, after she started asking me, like, why are you coming to me? Because, I said, look, I don't know what kind of person I am in the absence of this daily struggle.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know what kind of person I am trying to manage this and control this and stamping it down and still trying to be productive. But if it disappears completely, and it basically had for the most part once I started taking medication, I'm like, I don't know if the person without the fight is a functional or healthy person. I said, where does the warrior go when there are no more battles to fight? What kind of person am I without that constant stress?
Yeah.
And so I was going to her and just sort of saying, this is what happened in my day. This is how I handled it. This is how I reacted. And then waited for her to tell me that's unreasonable, or that was over the top, or that was beyond, or something.
Yeah.
So if that's where she's coming from, I can kind of empathize. The problem is that in my case, I knew that my problem was my problem.
Yeah.
Even if I could empathize with somebody else who talked about having anxiety and everything else, I didn't impart on them some kind of judgment because either they were handling it different or whatever else. It's just like, that's them, this is me. So that's where I would part company with her if that's where we're going. Again, I'm guessing, psychologist, but I own a couch. So let's see. We got 3 minutes left on this. Let's see what happens.
No cure. There's no medical model of disability. There's no hope of fitting in or belonging to a world that buys into or supports that framework.
I would like to introduce you to my co-host, who stands in living exception to that conclusion of yours.
I would also like to point out that she she has now been able to move to Los Angeles, live in Los Angeles. She has a YouTube channel with almost 2 million subscribers.
Oh.
She did a collaboration with Shane Dawson, of all people. That was a trash fire and a half, but anyway. But this world is not made for her.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, now I'm assuming all that happened after this talk. This talk was in 2017.
It all happened right around the same time. She has been very highly placed. The CNIB tends to, whenever there's a person with some sight left, they tend to gravitate towards them for their activism rather than totally blind people. So she got all of the speaking, the high ranked speaking engagements. She got a Dove commercial back in.
Are you meaning to imply that she's riding the wave of her disability and victimization to success?
Oh yeah.
I never. All right.
I am not broken.
Nobody said you
and
were.
I don't need to be fixed.
No.
Society does.
Okay. You weren't being fixed. You were being helped. There is a difference. Do you understand that that's a difference? I mean, you fix a broken leg. You help a person. Do you get that? Do you understand that?
I don't think she does.
Obviously not. Or she's realized the advantageous nature of framing things like that. Because like with so many things, if you can find a niche where you prey on people's empathy or emotions or sense of guilt or something else and can leverage that into a career, why stop?
Oh, you have the amount of videos on her channel where she does that and then adds in the sad music.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. The violins playing.
Yep.
I live in a world that wasn't built for me.
In a world.
But what if it was?
What if it was? What if a world was built for you?
It would be a small world because there's only one of you.
Yeah. And also, you would be effectively saying, everybody else, you have to suffer in order that I can feel a bit more comfortable. And how would that not still isolate you and alienate you from the majority? Thank you, John Miller. This screams of cry bullying. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
If everything was made accessible, if every restaurant offered Braille menus, and every phone you could buy came equipped with the ability to turn on talking software.
Molly, have you heard of something called the free market?
Yeah. and also the at least in America, the Americans with Disabilities Act, which doesn't explicitly say those things, but a lot of those things are accommodated for now, just as a matter of course.
If we have one up here in Canada as well.
Yeah.
Pinkala's going crazy. All those things existed in 2017, he says. He's not wrong.
Thank you, Prospero. Pity grifter blames world for her success. I know, right? Man, after writing my own couple of TEDx talks so far, it is a very, very tempting road to go down.
No kidding, right?
To try to turn into one of these, the world is against the whatever demographic thing.
Could you imagine you could like create this like satire persona and go on tours giving TEDx talks that nobody would know were satirical except for you?
Well, I played this was kind of funny. So the last TEDXcellence I did with a co-pilot with Tailed Feature.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, he hadn't seen it yet. I played for him my little satirical malicious tranquility talk, right? And he listened to it and he says, save for the fact that it was you, I probably couldn't distinguish this from a regular TEDx talk. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know, right? It's so easy. It's so easy. I swear to God, I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure. I swear to God, every time you see a TEDx or some presentation where somebody doles out a new toxic blah or radical blah verbiage phrase or whatever, they are shooting for that white fragility dollar.
Yep.
They are just dying to hit upon that vein of gold that Robin DiAngelo did by writing that book and coming up with that phrase white fragility and just reverse engineering that all the way down into a book and speaking tours and everything else. So everybody's looking for that that hook they can get with that one magical phrase. Because she did it, why can't I? So yeah, malicious tranquility, toxic compassion. That's the one I'm working on right now. Toxic compassion. Toxic compassion. Yeah, I'm using Ranting Monkey as my subject matter for that.
Oh God.
So I just have to finish that and do another video of that. But I'll get that out there sooner or later.
I would never have to have somebody read the menu to me, and I would always be able to borrow my friend's phone when mine died.
And again, none of those things were present in 2017, you're saying. I mean, McDonald's has Braille menus, for crying out loud.
They also have online menus that you can read with your iPhone, Molly.
There's the social model of disability.
Okay.
The idea that the disabled person is not the problem.
You're right. They're not a problem in here, unless the person is a problem. I mean, if they're an asshole, it's like, well, if you don't have legs but you're an asshole, well, guess what? You're still an asshole.
Exactly.
Everything around them is. Making the world more accessible.
Wait, what? Let me back up. Maybe I missed that point.
Making the world more...
No, I didn't back up enough, sorry.
There's the social model of disability.
Okay.
The idea that the disabled person is not the problem.
Right.
Everything around them is.
It depends on the, context. I mean, if there is only one way into the building and then there's a long flight of stairs, well, that would be a problem for someone who either can't walk or is in a wheelchair or something else. But that's, what are you talking about? Like the whole world's a problem?
I'm confused.
I don't know what that means. Maybe, hopefully she'll expand on that. Probably not.
Making the world more accessible is not only easier than you might think, it's more beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. Americans with Disability Act. Is there a similar type legislation in Canada?
Yes, we have. There's a bunch of provincial ones, but we've just been a federal one has been enacted recently. But the provinces had their own acts before that.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And there was also, we have a thing called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada.
Right.
And one of those sections is everyone has the right not to be discriminated against on the basis of, and disability is listed in that as well.
Okay.
So it's been codified for about the same amount of time as the ADA. Okay.
Thank you, tall person. Hoy, all just got home from work and we'll watch in full later. Happy National Buttermilk Biscuit Day, everybody. Buttermilk Biscuit Day. Oh, man. My mom used to make, use Bisquick and make little biscuits in the morning on Sundays or something with jelly. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so cheap, but so good. That was living in a low-income household.
A lot of accessibility features are great for people with disabilities. But are also helpful for everybody else.
Oh, no! So only disabled people should be allowed to use the ramps?
Those ableist bastards who use text-to-speech on their streams.
Oh, my God.
Sinatra. Sinatra's an ableist.
I know.
It's called the curb cut phenomenon.
Okay.
Slanted sidewalk crossings are great for people in wheelchairs or who use walkers.
They're also great for people who don't, because then you don't trip over a curb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever tripped over a curb, but it's not fun.
I sprained my ankle on a curb.
I stubbed my toe. It hurt.
And for mothers pushing their babies in strollers.
Uh-huh.
For kids on skateboards.
Yeah.
For couples riding bikes.
Kevin forfend. There are a lot of people that use wheels in the world that aren't inherently disabled. So how are you going to police that to your satisfaction, might I ask? I would love to know. Like, every time you come up to a curb, do you have to slide a pass card and then the curb will lower for you if you're officially disabled, but remain in place if you're not?
Oi, do you have a license for that wheel, mate?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm sorry, the absence of this curb is only for disabled people. Like, wait, what?
Automatic door openers are perfect for people in wheelchairs. And for when your arms are filled with groceries.
Yeah.
In modern parlance.
Wait, was that an argument?
I don't know.
It's like my hands are full of groceries and a door automatically opens for me. Is that bad?
So
should the door discriminate on the basis of ableism?
Am I the only one who's getting the picture from the Simpsons episode where Bart had no soul, where he kept running into the Quickie Mart door and then it opened for Rod and Todd?
Right, yeah. He sold his soul. Oh my God, I remember that episode. Thank you, door.
It's known as universal design.
Uh-huh.
Design.
Universal. Right. Everyone. It's about as egalitarian as you can ask for. God forbid. So you want what? You want a special lane in common spaces? Just wait. You want a bike lane for blind people?
Yep, I guess so.
And building everything to be accessed, enjoyed, understood to its fullest extent by everyone.
Okay, tell me why that's a bad thing. Tell me why that is insulting or diminishing or disempowering in some fashion. That everyone has equal access to something, regardless of your situation. I mean, barring the most extreme, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a complete quadriplegic or something, but even then. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. The toilet flushes by itself. Ugh, the privilege. Yeah, I know. Right?
Regardless of their size, their age, their ability, or their perceived disability.
Right.
One company
Equality
that shows this perfectly is Apple.
Okay.
Every product they release, I could buy at a store, open up, and use on my own independently. No extra cost. And
well,
no
except for the high
assistance
price
needed.
tag of Apple products, but okay.
Well, yes. Setting aside the price point, and like, okay, so Apple has designed products that anybody can use conceivably, even you. And so, I mean, they make something that's ubiquitous and accessible. And okay, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop to tell me why that's bad.
But don't you see, Scribe, because there are companies that exist like Google who don't, all of society is bad. Because not every company does what Apple does, because the free market apparently isn't a thing.
Right.
And I ask you to imagine how liberating, how empowering it is to be shown by a company that they view you as belonging to their customer base.
Okay, so the universal design was good then? Because it sounded like you were saying that was somehow insulting.
I know. I got confused at this part too when I was watching it this morning. I was like, where do you stand here?
Yeah. I mean, so able people are able to use the same ramps that wheelchair people do. And it sounded like she was saying they shouldn't be allowed to or be able to. And now she's saying she's praising the idea of universal accessibility. I am confuzzled.
When so many others tell you the exact opposite.
I want to back up a bit, just make sure I got context on that, because I'm a little fuzzy.
To be shown by a company that they view you as belonging to their customer base. When so many others tell you the exact opposite.
Okay, okay, I can think of one company that was stupid enough to say there's no reason to make our website accessible, and that's Domino's. And they are actually facing a class action lawsuit for that.
There you go.
However, most companies don't sit in the boardroom and be like, how can we exclude disabled people today? It's just not brought up because disabled people are a thankful minority. So, of course, it's not going to be on the top of everyone's list because there aren't as many of us. So, of course, things aren't going to be, like, tailor-made for disabled people unless it's a specific niche thing.
Right.
Like, I don't know what she expects. Like, does she want us to live in that, like, Bird Box life or something where everyone's blind? Like, I don't...
Let's see.
Try closing your eyes and using your microwave, doing your laundry, or doing something as simple as paying for a cup of coffee.
I mean, I've seen microwaves with braille buttons. I've seen... I ran into one of my professors in my community college at a Starbucks a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he's functionally blind. I mean, he was he used to be a cop and everything. He actually got blinded in his, I think you want to say his late 30s or something, when a backfire in a hunting rifle or something flash burned his eyes. And he's a brilliant guy and everything else. He was at the Starbucks. He had his white and red stick, and he was at the counter ordering coffee. Nothing. He was by himself.
Yeah.
Well, heaven forfend, because he had long ago adapted to his situation, and he was as independent as he could possibly be, and he was fine.
Like, there are some debit machines that if you have to choose checking and savings, that screen is touchscreen. So you
Right.
know what you do? You be a big girl and you say, "Excuse me, can you please push checking or savings for me so I can enter my PIN?"
Yeah.
You
There's a braille on the buttons.
you freaking speak up.
Johnny Hellcat, thank you. I hope she likes that iPhone that the 10-year-old put together after being rescued from the safety net 4 times last month. What? Maybe
We don't really have much of a choice, unfortunately, Johnny.
Yeah.
Blind people kind of have to use Apple because Google, while they do have TalkBack, it's not as good, and it doesn't read as much of the screen as what's on the screen as an iPhone.
Well, good on Apple for putting the effort into that, eh?
Yeah.
Nowadays, everything is touchscreen.
No, it's
and 99% of it is not accessible to me.
Okay, well, occasionally you're going to have to ask for help. And I'm sorry. There is a reasonable limit to what can be done to accommodate every possible scenario.
Well, and the thing is that at this stage, like where she's saying everything is touchscreen, 2017 Apple Pay was already starting to be a thing. She has an iPhone. She was still moving between Los Angeles and Toronto at that point, which are both cities that were very early implemented in the in the Apple Pay system. There are many ways that she could access these things that she's bitching about.
John Miller says Chinese manufacturers try to commit suicide a lot. Scribe Light, they have anti-fall nets. That's what that was referring to. I knew about the anti-fall nets. So let me read that again just for context, Johnny Elkett. I hope she likes that iPhone that the 10-year-old put together after being rescued from the safety net 4 times last month. Okay.
Because it tried to jump.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yay, context. Oh, wait, we're not supposed to be able to do context because of that guy at YouTube who said that, we're not context-sensitive creators.
That's right.
Okay.
You'll very soon learn it's not made for you because they don't think you belong.
Why is there Braille on the buttons then?
Why do all government signs have Braille in your country in English and in my country English and French?
Yeah.
Why do elevators have Braille on them?
Why is there legislation?
Yeah.
Why are there the ramps that you were talking about earlier? Why are there the lowered curbs that you were talking about earlier? Why are all these things done?
Why did Apple even bother to make a phone that could do all the things you just said?
Yeah. I mean, there is a world working overtime to try to accommodate as many people as possible to move through the world as independently as possible. Are there going to be limits? Yes. I mean, for all his superpowers, Daredevil can't look at a photograph and tell what's on it.
Nope.
I don't want to tell you. We with all his radar sense and everything else, at the end of the day, he can't see. I read a story the other day where like a guy tested him because the thing about Daredevil is most people don't know that he's actually blind. They just see a superhero jumping around doing everything else.
Yeah.
And this one guy said, "Hey, Daredevil, what color's the shirt my dad's wearing in this photograph?"
Yeah.
And like, Daredevil, like, oh shit. You're like, yeah, I figured. Anyway.
I've never fit in. I've never belonged.
I think I press X to doubt.
My God, Molly.
Press X to doubt.
Big
press X to doubt.
You are the epitome of fitting in, honey.
Yeah, but maybe not with that jacket.
She's wow. Okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Oh, then why are you complaining?
To take something from Drunkle's book, are you though?
Yeah. I mean, if you are a rock, if you are an island, then what is this pity party on a TEDx stage?
I've learned to adapt to my situation.
Good for you.
And I've learned to adjust to my life.
Good for you.
But imagining a world where I did belong, where everyone with a disability did, is pretty amazing to think about. And to me, that world isn't one where I can see. It's one where I don't have to. Thank you.
But you don't have to see now. Why do you have to see now? Who says, Molly, you have to see, otherwise you are an outcast?
Yeah, as her seeing eye dog rises up from napping because it sees its owner turning towards him and everything.
Yeah.
And immediately goes over. Yeah, this dog that was trained especially to accommodate her, to enable her to move through the world with independence. And as the entire audience claps in celebration of her struggle, she does not belong. She is not accommodated for. Oh boy. Thank you, Point Curation. SCTV had a skit about how the town was colluding against wheelchair users in order to benefit the local bump factory that manufactured.
Oh my god, I remember that skit.
Oh my god. SCTV. God, I miss SCTV. So good. So good. All right. Well, guys, there you go. There's I don't know what to say. That was Molly Burke letting us know about her perspective on the world and how everybody hates her and then gets a standing ovation at the end. But we've had our say. If you guys have some comments or things you want to say, put them into the chat now. And I'll give the next few minutes to that, and then we will wrap things up. Any other thoughts, Blind, on this one?
I do a fair amount of calling her out on my channel because she puts out videos quite often, and my issue with Molly is a lot of sighted people go to her channel, and then you would not believe how many times me and other blind people will meet sighted people who go, I've watched Molly Burke. Is it true that you live like they ask us how, because they've seen how she does it. And
right.
And if you were to poll the blind community, there is a vitriol against her because of basically how she has made a profit off of perpetual victimhood.
Ranting Monkey says, Molly seems like an entitled bitch.
Yeah.
A little bit. But again, I have to wonder how much of her view of things, so to speak, was molded by her parents' sort of, I don't know, reluctance to be honest or something. That doesn't excuse her of her own decisions. I'm just wondering. It's like what kind of effect did that have on her as she was growing up?
Monkey, we did a call out for her talking about a TSA agent, Pincalo and I, and she admitted that she can't be bothered to walk on her own 2 feet when she's at the airport and be guided. She gets she grabs one of the wheelchairs that are there and gets people to push her.
Oh boy. Ranting Monkey also says, the world can't be made for everyone. Some of us with disabilities need to get the fuck over it.
Yep.
Miss Lim 1, I stopped watching her stuff because she whines too much.
She does.
Let's see. Anna Lynn says, Molly can get fed. I have been shot, stabbed, drowned, and walked every day on a bum leg to get a degree. You take what you can from the world. Yeah. Exactly. John Miller, the problem is I don't trust her story. If her dad was so invested for blind help, you would think he would have told her from the get-go. Again, I can believe that she might have had parents that either, for various reasons, either, let's say the worst case, they're embarrassed and they don't want to tell her, or they had such high hopes there'd be a treatment for it, it wouldn't become necessary to have to sit down with
I
it.
think that's the second one is the thing. I think they're very overprotective of her. She's 26 years old, and her mother moved to Los Angeles with her. Mm-hmm. She's made no effort to live on her own. She lives with her mother. She travels with her mother. All of her speaking engagements, she does not fly independently.
Right.
This is gonna get a little graphic, but I did another stream. She admitted that she can't even tell when she's menstruating herself. She has to have her mother tell her. At 26.
And mom's enabling this. I mean, for however much Molly's taking advantage of the situation, mom is enabling it by continually being there as the crutch.
Yes.
Even if it's probably, I mean, and again, I don't know her psychology. I'm wondering how much of mom's crutchness is actually necessary if she would put the effort into taking care of herself more. But again, I don't know her particular circumstances, etc. So, Miss Lim one says she was babied way too much. I wish my parents paid this much attention to me.
She was, yeah.
Ranting Monkey says she can't smell it.
No, she doesn't even. No, she just wipes herself, walks out of the bathroom, and goes, "Mom, is this toilet paper bloody?"
Oh boy.
It's like, what the?
Enoch the stable master. She needs to learn that the world wasn't made for anyone. We live in an existence governed by natural laws, physics, and whatnot, and we just exist as best we can with what we have. Yeah,
that would make too much sense.
Yeah, like my sister. I mean, she, through no fault of her own, not from some genetic thing or whatever else, just like a fault of biology, she lost sight in her eye, and she adapted. She got on with her life, and she can drive a car. She moves to the world. You wouldn't even know that she has no vision in that one eye unless she told you.
My grandfather's the same way. Like, I completely forget that he's blind in one eye most of the time until he says something, and I go, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
I mean, I know about it. I was there when she was growing up, having to deal with it, and even I don't even consider it. I don't even hesitate to get in a car with her when she's driving because it doesn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Humble Clay says, I have lost a little respect for Dove. Dove has done a lot of really weird and very woke campaigns over the last years. Not just whatever else they've done with Molly. They've done a lot of things that were just sort of like, dude.
The Dove commercial really pissed a lot of blind people off because she was saying, I've used a lot of body washes, but none has made my skin as smooth as Dove. And you know how I know? I'm blind and I experience everything through touch. And all of us just went, ew.
Can I chirp in on something?
What's up, honey?
Scribe, thanks for doing this, first of all.
Sure.
Second off, the weirdest thing about her is she's going blind. So she still has shadows and stuff. So she still has some sort of perception. Blind Press has no eyeballs. And has been more independent since she was the age of 3 playing on railroad tracks than this woman has been in her 26 years. They're only 4 years apart. That's the biggest problem with Molly Burke, is she wants to play that game of victimhood when you have someone here who spends, I'm on the road all day and she's taking care of 2 kids under 7 in the background.
Yeah.
Let's see Molly do that.
Gotcha.
Have a good night.
Yep. Ask me Andy Scribelight, our disabilities don't define our character. Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly. Like I said, you could have a person who can't walk who's a complete asshole and a person who can't walk who's a complete saint. It's the same thing I've said a million times on different streams. If I describe to you a tall, long-haired carpenter, right? Am I talking about Jesus Christ or am I talking about serial killer Israel Keys? Okay.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, these things do not. Yeah, the mundane, let's say, the surface level aspects of your makeup, your ability, or whatever else, do not define you as a person. So in this case, you have a lady who has diminished eyesight at worst, who is trying to milk her situation for sympathy and conceivably a career. And in the sort of mercenary sense of the free market, I can't blame her for that. I mean, if that's the only way or one of the most effective ways she has to leverage a living, I mean, I can respect that in sort of a pragmatic sense, but I can't respect it in sort of a taking advantage of, and also infantilizing people within her own demographic who aren't her. But okay, one 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other. But yeah, it doesn't define you. I mean, her attitude here, her speech, her beliefs as she professes them, says something about her. It doesn't say anything about society. It doesn't say anything about anybody else who suffers from her same situation. And again, I would love to be able to ask her, if someone came up to you in your exact same situation and said, I have the opportunity to take part in a trial study of gene therapy that may restore some unknown percentage of my sight, would you deny me that possibility to conform to your outlook on disability? I would love to know what her answer to that would be.
Yeah, it would be a great question to ask her.
But anyway, anything else you want to add, Blind, before we wrap it up?
No. Other than thanks for having me on and
Sure.
and doing this. This was good fun.
Yeah. Yep, I find these, even if it's something that either in part or in whole that I either disagree with or agree with, it's always interesting. I always learn a little bit of something, and I always forget most of it because of Pepperjack. But it's here recorded for posterity. So everyone, thank you so much for coming out to join us today. Appreciate your attendance, your participation, and your generosity. Thank you so much. Blind Press, thank you so much for recommending this video to me, and as well for joining me as we went through it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's see, everybody remember to check out Blind Press's channel in the description, as well as follow her on Twitter. She does a whole bunch of interesting stuff on her channel. And again, I know I said on this, but it's just the thing. She plays Mortal Kombat and fight games, and she has no eyeballs. I mean,
and yes. In the spirit of the world not belonging to, or blind people not belonging to the world, do you want to know why I play so much Mortal Kombat?
Because you're an inherently violent and sadistic person?
Well, that too.
Oh, okay.
But because NetherRealm is actually trying to make their games accessible.
What? Are they the Apple of fight games?
They actually kind of are.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you all have a good day. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And remember to join me and Ranting Monkey and Satsu 2 Cents on Satsu 2 Cents' channel tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for Lords of the Night, where we'll go over the news of the day and stuff. That's the best I can promise you, because I only know I know we'll go over the news. Everything after that is just a complete wild card. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Blind Press.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Talk to you later.